Welcome to Homemaking with Mima. My name is Wendy, and in today's video, I'm going to be bringing you along. I'm going to be making some cinnamon roll bread, and I'm also going to be making some English muffin bread. And I'm going to incorporate some of the items that I pulled out of my cupboards just recently, and I'm going to bring you along. So in this cinnamon roll that I'm going to be making today, I've made it before. However, I don't have bread flour right now. I have all-purpose, so I am just going to use what I have because that's what I'm trying to do. And so I've got all-purpose flour, sugar, cinnamon, salt, yeast, melted butter. I have the yeast and the milk in the mixer. I'm waiting for that to become frothy. But it calls for 4 cups of bread flour and a half a cup in case it's too wet, all depending on the humidity in your house, 3 teaspoons of yeast, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1.5 cups of milk warmed to 110 degrees, 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon put inside, and that's what I've got right here, of your loaf, and 4 tablespoons of melted butter, and I have that right here. But I also have stuff for the filling. I have that cinnamon sugar I needed to use up when I went through my cupboards. I have just a little bit of brown sugar to it, and I have the butter for that. Another type of bread I'm going to be making today is English muffin bread. It's been quite a few years since I've made this, but it calls for, it doesn't say specific, but I have used all-purpose flour before, so that's what I'm using, and that's what I have. Salt, 2 cups of milk, and I used up the powdered milk, and I also had to actually open up more to bring it up to a 2-cup level. Water, yeast, sugar, baking soda right here, and you need to sprinkle your pans with cornmeal. So I have 2 pans. This makes 2 loaves, and then also once you get it into the loaf, you need to sprinkle cornmeal on top of that. Now it's not using up a lot of the cornmeal, but I am using it. So I'm going to get this together and get this ready to go into the oven as well. I'm making that cinnamon roll bread is what I'm making right now. But we'll get this all combined together too as well so that we can bake them. They bake at different temperatures. But I'll just get this all gathered and ready to go, and we'll get this in the oven as well. So I have the yeast and a little bit of the sugar in the bowl, and I'm going to place the milk and the water in there, and I'm going to let it sit for about 5 minutes until the yeast becomes frothy. That way then I know that it's activated. So the yeast has bloomed nicely. So I'm going to incorporate all this. And this is going to be a sticky dough. And I'm not going to add any more flour to it because it has to be a sticky dough. I brought it so that it would just get combined. I'm going to get this off, hopefully. I always struggle. So it is a little sticky, and that's fine. You want that. I didn't need it the full 5 minutes that I normally need because I want the air bubbles that are going to form in there. So now I'm going to get it out and get it into the pans. It's not as tacky as I remember, but it could be the humidity today. And it says to let it rise. So I'm going to let it rise in the pan. I need to, in the bowl, I need to spray it. And let it rise. It says 8 to 10 minutes, so I'm going to go the full 10. So I've let it just rise for about 10 minutes. Actually, I don't even want to push it down. I'm going to divide it in half. I want as many air bubbles in there as possible because that's what English muffins are. I hope this turns out. I don't know if it will. We'll just kind of shape it the best that I can. It's not as tacky as I remember it, so I'll push it down. I'm not going to push it down too much. Hopefully you can see all this. Let me pull the camera back some. I'll just turn it. There we go. All right, so I do have my pans. I've got them sprayed and I've got cornmeal coated in them up the sides and on the bottom. And there we are. I'm just gonna leave them like that. And it says to put cornmeal on the top. I just want to make sure that that cornmeal sticks because I've noticed in the past that the cornmeal didn't want to stick. It'll stick to your fingers because now my hands are yucky, but sprinkle it with some more cornmeal and it will, some of it will come off, you know, when you go to cut it, all that sort of thing. But it'll still give the effect of like an English muffin. All right, I'm gonna throw this away because my hands are greasy and I don't want that back into the cornmeal. Now we're gonna let this rise. It says 20 minutes and then we'll bake it. So before I put the bonnets on it, just so it doesn't get a hard crust, I didn't mush it down or anything. I just kind of divided it in half, put it in there. You've seen how I did that. And I'm gonna put the bonnets on it and we're gonna let it rise for 20 minutes. I might even let it go a little bit further if it doesn't do a good rise. You want it, all doughs, you pretty much want them to rise double in size. Plus, I want as many air pockets in there as I can get. So the ovens come up to temperature. The English muffin bread bakes at 375 for 25 minutes. So I'm gonna get that in there. Here they are, hot out of the oven. I'm gonna get them on the cooling wraps so they can cool. It's gonna be messy. So the cinnamon roll bread has cooled down enough that I can slice into it. So let's cross our fingers and hope that it's completely cooked all the way through. It's in there for 30 minutes. And that looks like a fail. It's doughy. Yep. So, just showing you. And you can see that it's a fail. And I'm going to show you this because why not? I'm not the greatest at making bread. This wasn't an actual cinnamon bread recipe. It was a cinnamon roll recipe. Now, the last time that I made it into a bread, it turned out, but it had broke. But it is doughy on the inside. Like it's not completely cooked. And it actually cooked for 30 minutes. I don't think that cooking it any longer would have helped the inside any at all. So let's hope that the English muffin bread isn't a fail. This is still really warm, but I'm gonna cut into it anyway. I'm gonna cut right down the center because that's where you can see. I have made this before and it has turned out. So you just let your knife do the work. It feels good. Oh, it looks beautiful. That looks beautiful. I'm bringing you in for a closer look. The crumb is beautiful. Not as many holes as I would like, but you know what? It's still gonna taste good. So I'm gonna bring an end to this venture of bread making. One fail, one success. Even though it doesn't have as many holes as I would like it for an English muffin bread, it's still going to be very good. And I used that cinnamon sugar that I had up in the cupboard. I used up, and that's just my coffee maker. Gotta have some more. Used up the little bit of milk powder so I can get this container washed. Get that washed. I used a little bit of the cornmeal for the English muffin bread. Even though I had a failure, you just move on. I've thrown many things away that I haven't admitted to. This will be disposed of. And I also want to tell you that I used up some evaporated milk in the refrigerator. I had about this much, so I mixed some of this in with the evaporated milk and water to make it to the amount that I needed. But I didn't have that in my containers here, but I used it out of my fridge. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you like this kind of content, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and even though you have failures, you are a success. And I want you folks to make it a really great day.